There has been a major shakeup in the power structure in South America. Now, if you had asked me yesterday who I thought the first female president of America would be, I would have said, well, more than likely it's going to come from Latin America, and it would have been this woman. This is Isabel de San Malo. She is the vice president of Panama, an incredibly intelligent woman, well spoken, and highly educated, but in a shocking, and I mean shocking, change up in the halls of power. There is now a new vice president of Venezuela. This is Delcy Rodriguez. She has served in one capacity or another in the presidential palace in Venezuela ever since the Hugo Chavez years. But it was announced 2 hours ago that Vice President Tariq El-Aissami has been reassigned. The Syrian Druze tied to Hezbollah has now been put in charge of something called the newly created Industry and Transportation or Industry and Development Ministry. We'll get into that in a second. But given this woman's past and given what's transpired lately, I would not be surprised if this is the first female president in America, and I count North and South America together. Smart, educated, and believe it or not, not a giant fan of Barack Obama. So if that doesn't make you get on her side, I don't know what will. Now what she's doing here is they just had voted, and of course they do the little finger dip thing here, so don't take anything away from her hand sign other than she's just showing that she'd voted. But on her shirt there, it was about the executive order that Donald Trump and Barack Obama agree on, labeling Venezuela an extraordinary security threat. So in case anybody wants to go and find this article, it is on Reuters, and it's huge. Absolutely huge that President Maduro has now named Delcy Rodriguez as vice president of Venezuela. This, I'm going to have to sit and do a day and just research this now, because this is a shock. This is a huge, huge shock. And I am sure there are going to be ripples and waves that go throughout the world on this, because there were a lot of people that had their hand in Venezuela from the Middle East because of Mr. Aissami's power there. Just a real quick background on her. Let's see if I can find that tab. There we go. Delcy Eloina Rodriguez Gomez. Born 18 May 1969, so about my age. Venezuelan politician, president of the Constitutional Assembly of Venezuela since 4 August 2017, Minister of Popular Power for Communication and Information of Venezuela from 2013 to 2014, and Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2014 to 2017. I'll zoom out here so we can all be looking at the same page. Strangely enough, can't make this up, her brother was the vice president under Hugo Chavez. Jorge Jesus Rodriguez Gomez is a Venezuelan politician and psychiatrist who was vice president of Venezuela from January 2007 to January 2008. Held several posts during the course of the Chavez administration. International Affairs Director in the Ministry of Energy. Vice Minister for European Affairs. Minister for Presidential Affairs. Minister for Europe at the Venezuelan Ministry of Foreign Relations. She's got quite a resume. Since 2016, Rodriguez has been an outspoken defender of Venezuelan government domestic actions in the face of calls from Luis Almagro, Secretary General of the Organization of American States, the OAS, to suspend Venezuelan membership in the organization for violating the OAS Democratic Charter. On 21 June 2017, Rodriguez left her post to run for the Constituent National Assembly President Maduro accepted her resignation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and she was succeeded by Samuel Moncada. Now, she's been sanctioned by Canada, but not by us. And strangely enough, she was, back in April of 2008, married to a man who, believe it or not, owned a Smartmatic, organized around producing electronic voting systems. This is interesting. This is an incredibly interesting turn of events. And now, if they've talked about in a lot of circles how to get Maduro out of power. Honestly, with only Canada having sanctioned this woman, the U.S. could probably get behind her, given some other type of concession being made. It's just an amazing turn of events. I would have never seen it coming. But here in this article from, what is this? Latin America Herald Tribune, it says that, and I'll zoom in so we can read together. Sorry about this. Mr. Aissami is being sent to head a newly created Ministry of National Industry and Production. And it gives a list here of all of the different people that have taken different positions in Maduro's government. So, national industry and production, the only thing that I can think of that might be related to is this. Because there's been talk about the Iranians, and all of the refineries that are in Venezuela are Iranian in origin. And all of their production facilities Iran built. And a lot of people don't know that. So if this is something where he's departing to be a bigger part of reclaiming the oil industry, it might not bode too badly for him. But if I remember right, Ms. Rodriguez has some ties, and I'm not confirming this right here in this video, but I'm going to look into it. I do believe she has ties to the FARC and the ELN. And I'll tell you what, with the election coming up in Colombia right now, with Gustavo Petro, and with what's going to happen with Obrador in Mexico, because he's pretty much a shoo-in up there, and he is basically the Mexican version of Nicolas Maduro. If Obrador takes power in Mexico, with the Ecuadorians already a member of OPEC, by the way, a lot of people don't realize that Ecuador is a member of OPEC. Ecuador already having recognized Mr. Maduro. If Colombia goes left, I tell you what, you could see this incredible sea change in the power structures in South America. You really could. And who does what, and it would be breathtaking to see, especially with what's going on with Bolivia. Bolivia just signed a new deal with China for LNG, and I was going to do an entire video on them because they are basically the exact same model that Maduro wants to, but they don't have any of the problems. Which, when you read through what happened there, it's very clear that the only difference between Bolivia and what happened in Venezuela is the American intervention in the price of oil in 2014. It's the only difference. Because the way they run their government and the way Venezuela runs its government under this guy is identical. In fact, the only thing that would be different is the involvement of multinational oil companies in Venezuela, which would be more U.S. friendly. Bolivia doesn't have any of that at all. Everything is state-run. So I'll leave it there, but incredible turn of events. I would have never predicted this, that this woman here is now one breath away from being the president of a nation that has the largest oil reserves in the world. And like I said, she and Maduro, neither one, were great fans of Obama. So that alone should make you take a minute to maybe look into her past and see what they really stand for, what they really are trying to accomplish in Venezuela. And it's not tyranny. It's not at all. It's sovereignty. And there's a big difference, and a lot of people confuse that. So we will leave it there. Delcy Rodriguez, the new vice president of Venezuela. Like, share, subscribe.